Hey guys, it's Day and welcome to another World of Warcraft video. Today, since we've seen a lot of our community members picking up the game in the last couple of months, I thought it might be useful to come up with a leveling guide for levels 50 to 60 to help you get through Shadowlands as efficiently as possible. I know this video is coming quite late in the game for some people who have been playing since expansion launch, however I have found this path useful in leveling my own alt characters recently, so I hope it helps you out as well. So without further ado guys, let's walk through how to zoom through Shadowlands. Before picking up the Shadowlands intro quest in Stormwind or Orgrimmar, you should make sure to turn your war mode on. This will give you an experience bonus of 10 to 25%, depending on how the factions are balanced. Bear in mind, this will make you targetable by the opposing faction for PvP, so if you're a newer player or if you're struggling in any way, you can always opt to keep this option turned off, but it does dramatically increase the leveling process, so do bear that in mind. Once completing or skipping the Shadowlands intro quest, I obviously recommend that you skip that, it's a lot faster to do so, you'll find yourself in ORIBOS. Speak to Fate Scribe Rosal and choose the Threads of Fate option in order to level the fastest through Shadowlands. Follow the quest prompts and pick your covenant. For the sake of efficiency, it is best to pick the covenant you'll be predominantly playing at max level, as leveling with threads allows you to gain renown towards your covenant before reaching max level. After that, you should head to the Hall of Shapes and learn engineering and Shadowlands engineering as well. Luckily, the auction house in Oribos is also right next to the engineering trainer, so you can also pick yourself up a wormhole generator Shadowlands. This helps tremendously with efficient leveling as it allows you to teleport to the different zones in Shadowlands with a 15-minute cooldown, so it is well worth it in my opinion. The toy is also account bound, so once you've bought it once, you can use it on any character that has Shadowlands engineering, so do bear that in mind. You can just buy it on your main where most of your gold is, and you'll be able to use it on all of the alts that you plan on leveling. At this point, you'll want to head to the Enclave and speak to Tal Inara, and pick up the quest to go to TORGHAST. Then from there, immediately head to the Ring of Transference in the very center of Oribos and head to the upper level. If you already have a character with 80 renown in any of the 4 covenants, you can speak to Ordara, who can be found next to the Flight Master, and buy the Broker's Mark of Distinction to instantly increase your renown with your chosen covenant to 40. This of course just gives a really nice head start at getting your renown to 80 for your chosen covenant at endgame. You will want to do TORGHAST just once per day by picking up the daily quest from this NPC, who chills next to the Box of Many Things. With this daily, you can queue for either of the current wings of TORGHAST and complete it to gain some significant experience. The other advantage of this is that you will also gain renown upon completing the layer, and you'll start collecting soul ash for your legendary as well before reaching max level. This of course will then expedite the process of increasing your character's effectiveness once you do reach max level. Make sure to pick up the quest before doing this. It's also not really worth doing it more than once per day, but that is of course up to you if you decide that you want to before reaching 60. But yeah, it's not really worth it. It's best just to do it once per day with the daily quest. The most important thing to note is that you shouldn't hand in the following quests until you reach level 58. Bolstering Bastion, Rallying Maldraxxus, Support the Court, Reinforcing Revendreth, Halls of Atonement, Your Absolution, Tyrnacythe, A Warning Silence, Plagueful, Knee Deep in It, and the Necrotic Wake, A Paragon's Plight. This is due to the fact that experience scales as you level, and waiting to this point makes leveling from 58 to 60 extremely rapid and therefore well worth it, because you'll just jump from 58 straight to max level. The following 4 maps have a key that show you where to pick up the previously mentioned dungeon quests, show you where to do all of the bonus objectives in the zones, show you where the best quest hubs are, and also just where you can pick up any missing percentage if you need any in either of the 4 zones. Feel free to pause the video on any of these maps, I guess, just to figure out where you're going and when. When compared to previous expansions, the world quests in Shadowlands don't offer a huge amount of experience. The best way to maximize your experience is to follow this sequence. Wormhole to Revendreth and begin the quest line that starts with the quest An Abuse of Power, from the NPC called the Accuser. This questline is a little bit lengthy, so the most efficient thing to do is to start with this zone first. Complete the questline up until you receive the quest Halls of Atonement, Your Absolution. At this point, wormhole to Maldraxxus and pick up the quest A Plague for Your House. Follow this questline in order to unlock the dungeon quest for this zone, Plagueful, Knee Deep in It. Once you have the second dungeon quest in your log, you can either wormhole to Bastion or Ardenweald if it's off cooldown, and if it isn't, you can go to either of these zones using the Flight Master. Pick up the quest Tierna Scythe A Warning Silence from Flingir by the Heart of the Forest in Ardenweald, and the quest The Necrotic Wake A Paragon's Plight from Disciple Artemide outside the Necrotic Wake dungeon in Bastion. You can do this in either order and just use a Flight Master to get from one zone to the next. From here, the questing is fairly simple. Our goal is to get all of the 4 zone areas to 100% through the most efficient way possible. I advise starting in the last zone you picked a dungeon quest in and proceeding through the bonus objectives in that area. Complete all of those and pick up any quests from NPCs that are in the nearby areas of the bonus objective, and do those simultaneously. You can do world quests too, but it's usually preferable to only do those if your percentage needs topping up, or if you've run out of other activities in the zone. Keep this up until all 4 of them are at 100%, but only turn them in at level 58. The final part of the leveling experience is the dungeons that you picked up the quests for. Our aim is, of course, to complete all 4 of the dungeons once in order to complete the dungeon quests. However, it may not always work out like this because you may end up repeating dungeons. You should always queue for a random dungeon despite the risk of repeating because of the significant increase in experience rewarded per dungeon when you do so. As soon as you've picked up all 4 of the dungeon quests, you should queue for a random dungeon before proceeding with the quests and bonus objectives mentioned previously. For a DPS player, this will actually work out quite well, as the long queues will mean you have plenty of time to work on questing in between the dungeon pops. Continue queuing for dungeons and questing until all 4 zone quests and all 4 dungeon quests are complete and ready to be handed in. Finally, once you've both hit level 58 and completed all of the previously mentioned quests, it's time to go on a grand tour through all 4 of the zones to hand in all 8 quests. This should get you all the way to level 60 in most instances, though of course if you missed a few quests here and there, if you weren't well rested, didn't do TORGHAST, or opted to keep war mode off, this may not always be the case. In this instance, the best thing to do is to pick up any of the quest lines in the 4 zones that you may have left off because of reaching 100%. You can also queue for another random dungeon while doing so, as you likely won't be far off level 60 at this point. My friend Way told me not to put this in, but I don't care, I'm putting it in anyway. It isn't really a part of the guide, but it is useful to note that when you're level 50 to 60, time walking actually gives a surprising amount of experience, so if you're actually sick of Shadowlands and you just want to level an alt in a different way, you can try out time walking if it's up at that point, because it does actually give a pretty nice amount of XP considering that it's just old content. So yeah, check that out if you're bored of redoing this route, although I would say this route is still optimal because it is really quick. But yeah, just thought I'd add that in there for people who are like me and have an attention span of a squirrel. And there we have it guys, 50 to 60 in Shadowlands fast using Threads of Fate. This method allows you to semi-turn your brain off and grind out alts efficiently while getting your renown up, getting some soul ash, and hopefully having a sort of good time. I hope it helped you as much as it has helped me. Huge shout out to Way from the community for helping me write this video and teaching me his leveling methods. And of course, as always, a mention has to go to Mana for his editing magic. I hope you enjoyed this video guys. If you did and you'd like to see more from me, please do be sure to hit the subscribe button, like this video, and do share it with your friends as well, or your guildies even. Thank you so much for watching, and until I see you next time, take care and bye!